And I'm joined on Absolutely Famous today by our regular rugby analyst, former Marlborough King Country loose forward Greg Brimble, now based of course in the beautiful town of Nowra on the New South Wales coast, where he and his lovely wife Beck own and operate Jayco Nowra Caravans. Brims, how are you, mate? How's that for an ad?
Yeah, pretty good intro, isn't it? I'll get you a job somewhere, I think. No, that's good. Thanks for that. It's going good. We've had a nice spell of weather down here too, so it's pleasant heading into that last month of winter as well. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's good. I bet the caravans will be flying out the door soon because it's warming up here on the Gold Coast. It's 26 degrees today, so summer's almost upon us.
It's always warm up there, John. The middle of winter. Middle of winter is balmy. Everyone's walking around their jingles and shorts and t-shirts. So yeah, you guys are spoiled up there.
Yeah, it's not a bad place to hang out. Well, Brims, lots to be happy about it for us All Black supporters. The All Blacks very impressive again, beating the Aussies 38-7 to retain the Bledisloe Cup in front of a magnificent crowd. 83,944 in Melbourne. How good's that?
Yeah, it's wonderful, isn't it? And what a great stadium the MCG is. I've been fortunate enough to have been to the AFL grand finals and an Origin game there, mate. And it's a fantastic venue. It really is, and it's as they said, it's the largest stadium in the Southern Hemisphere. So what a wonderful stadium for a fitting occasion as well. That was a really good test match on Saturday night.
Yeah, it was good. As we discussed before, the Wallabies played pretty well in the opening phases and for a time in the third quarter. They put the All Blacks under real pressure, but I thought the All Blacks' defence was outstanding. In fact, yeah, and then they weathered it and ran away in the finish.
Yeah, they just stuck to their guns, didn't they? And they played the 80 minutes. But it's good to see Australia on the improvement despite the 38-7 scoreline. I think there's a lot to be positive about the Wallabies' performance as well, John. I thought they were the better team in the first 20 of that game. In the first 12 to 15 minutes of the second half, I thought they had the ascendancy over the All Blacks as well. So I think Eddie Jones is starting to do a few things with them. And he picked a big young forward pack, didn't they? There were some big fellas in there and young of age, short on experience. But they're going to need those fellas coming through because they looks like they've lost a couple of very experienced front rows in Taniela Tupou and John Alatoa.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was really sad for them there. And I thought Angus Bell was their shining light in the forward pack, but nobody got near, for me, Scott Barrett, the All Blacks. Like, he's just phenomenal.
Well, before I get all carried away with Scott Barrett and I ask him to marry me and all the rest, mate, I agree with you. Angus Bell was very, very good. That was the best game he's had for the Wallabies. The big prop forward from Australia. He had a great game, but I was also impressed with Mark Nawangatazi. The part Fijian winger, he had a very good game as well, and he's got a big future ahead of him. Carter Gordon didn't quite come up with the goods that I'd expected from him, but he's only young and he will learn from that experience. But Scott Barrett, wasn't he unbelievable? I was having a look at some. He played the full 80 minutes at the MCG. He made 16 carries for 42 metres. And beat 4 defenders on the way, and 11 tackles complete without a miss. And you know the way he kicked things off for us with that crushing tackle on the Wallabies halfback. That when he spilled the ball forward and Shannon Frizzell was on hand to score the try. But it wasn't just that. It was everything that he did, wasn't it, John? Was just of very, very exceptional class.
Yeah, he was phenomenal, and I thought. Another player who's really playing consistently well now is Shannon Frizzell. That's 3 games in a row now that he's got a level of performance now that he's not going under, which is fantastic for the side.
Well, isn't it good to just see the selectors starting to settle on some of those selections now, and every game I think with this, we can lock that one in, we can lock that one in. We know that we need to lock Scott Barrett and now to one of those second row spots. So it's who's going to be coming off the bench. Is it going to be Sammy Whitelock or Brady Retallick? And Shannon Frizzell, he's now said that number 6 position's mine for the World Cup, and rightly so. So that's good when we're seeing that consistency and selection in the midfield as well, and in the back three. And I thought Mark Delia had a fantastic game, John. So Broden Barrett, I think that's his spot. I think he's the man at fullback. And Will Jordan, I mean, 23 tries and 23 test matches. I know you love him like I love Scott Barrett. But I think Mark Delia was very, very good, wasn't he? Especially in close contact. You know, he's got spiders all over him, that bloke. They just don't want to touch him. Well,
he's a ball of muscle. And, you know, I was talking to Alex Nankerville about the Chiefs centre, about him, who's played against him and with him at Tasman. And he said he looks as though he's just bursting through tackles, but he said he's weaving all the time and he's very explosive off the mark, like he was on Saturday a couple of occasions. I just lost you.
With that footwork is unbelievable. It's great, and he ran for 126 metres, which was the most of any player on the field on the MCG on Saturday night. So, you know, I think we can tick off our back three now as well, John.
Yeah, the good thing about the team this year, I've noticed, Brims, is they all seem to be singing from the same song sheet. There's a lot more cohesion up front and back, and I think you're seeing the influence of the assistant coaches, Joe Smith and Jason Ryan, coming through, and I'm really pleased for Ian Foster too, because he's got a smile back on his face, and we all want to see that because he's a good bloke.
Well, he's a better bloke than you said he was this time last year, Johnny Alexander.
Yeah, that was based on the rugby form, not as a person. He's always, everyone I've talked to reckon he's a good bloke.
I wasn't far behind you bagging him out as well either, mate. But it's good to see him there. But isn't it good to see what a consistency in selections as well does for the confidence of a team, when a player's not wondering whether he's going to be selected next week. Is he playing for his spot? Is he not playing for his spot? Are they going to try somebody else, you know? And as they're locking those players in, and we're seeing more consistency in those selections, they're becoming more and more confident. They're believing in the processes that they've employed as well, and they're putting those plays together. They're believing in each other, the men inside them, the men outside of them, and they're believing in their defensive structures as well, because one of the features of that game for New Zealand was the All Blacks defence, and that was fantastic, that defence. It comes right from the beautiful Crusaders, of course, but you know, they ticked a lot of boxes on Saturday for me, John.
Yeah, they did too. And with the World Cup squad being named about 48 hours after the test in Dunedin on Saturday, there's 3 players I think will come into it. I think Fletcher Newell's fit again, so he might even play on Saturday. The young tight head prop who did so well last year. Ethan Blackadder's very close, and David Havili, I think, is playing for Tasman this week in the NPC. So I think those 3 are going to come into the World Cup squad, so it'll be interesting for Foster and co to see who they're going to leave out.
Well, it is too, and I mean, you know, it's a bit rough on a few of those players as well. You look at the likes of Sean Stevenson and Samapeni Finau and that who haven't had a chance to press their claims for selection yet. But as we talked about last week, there's going to be some big names miss out there, and it's sad, but some players will get the last opportunity they've got to press for selection in the World Cup squad this Saturday, and I think it's a sure bet. I reckon you'd agree with me that they're probably gonna just experiment with not experiment, but there might be a few different selections in the team to what we saw on Saturday night at the MCG, mate.
Yeah, I think there'll be several changes, and he'll use the bench too to introduce newcomers. I think. Well, I hope he does. I hope everyone gets a crack and can show their wares. I'm not sure about Stevenson because he wasn't selected in the initial squad. He's only come in as injury cover. So I think Lester Ganuku's ready to go again. So I think he'll play.
Yeah, and and Amani Nara might get another crack as well. I think they'll probably put one of the hookers on Cotton Wool and give Colsey another run for it, because he's probably not likely to see a lot of action over in the World Cup. But I just while I'm talking about hookers and my love affair with forwards and front rowers, I sort of mentioned Samisani Takiaho when he came on Saturday, and he was our number one hooker this time last year, and Cody Taylor was really sort of on the outer, wasn't he? But he's put his hand up. He's firmly stuck his hand up as our first choice hooker now. But Samisani Takiaho, he came on at the 55, 60 minute mark, and he got game high stats. He had 11 carries and 12 tackles in the few minutes that he was on the field, and did a lot of work. So I mean, I'm just so excited about some of these players that are really hitting some red hot form at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
And, Fozzie's got his selections right too, which I'm happy about.
Yeah, no complaints there. You mentioned Amani Narawa, the winger, Chiefs winger before. He's actually injured at the moment. He's got a back injury, so he's actually in some doubt for the World Cup at present. So we hope he gets fit, because he's another strike weapon. And the other guy we haven't seen much of lately is Damien McKenzie. So it'll be interesting to see where he fits into the picture.
Well, that was, and that's a bit of a strange conundrum as well, isn't it, John? Where does Damien McKenzie fit into the picture? And I mean, he's such a talented footballer, but it was quite puzzling to see him. He was warming up, albeit he wasn't in the 23. He was warming up and kicking and running through the drills pre-game at the MCG, but didn't take the field and wasn't going to take the field because he wasn't named either. But he's running around. He's obviously fit enough. He's obviously available for selection. But where do you have Bowden Barrett at fullback and Richie Miners at first five, and those slowing down those slots? What do you do with Damien McKenzie?
Well, I think he'd be a star off the bench just quietly. I think Anton Leonard-Brown will be in that bracket too, because he's a terrific player as well, and he looked really sharp on Saturday when he came on.
Well, the thing is, John, with the backs on the bench, and I think we should have a bench of just 8 forwards. That's my thinking, because forwards can do anything,
Yeah.
But we've got to. But they've been going more with a 6-2 split on the bench lately, and that means you've got to have a halfback. One of your 2 bench backs have got to be a halfback. That only leaves one more, so that's got to be someone like a David Havili or someone like that can fill in a number of different positions, a fullback in the midfield, on the wing, or you need a specialist that's going to slot into, say, the fullback position, and then work around with someone like a Lester Whanganuku or a Geordie Barrett and push them around, sort of thing. But yes, I mean, where do you slot him in?
I know. I think the All Blacks will stick with a 5-3 myself. I know the Springboks go with the 6 forward 2 back thing, and I think a couple of the other sides do too. But I think the way the All Blacks play, I'm pretty sure Fozzie will go with the 5-3. I hope he does anyway.
I hope he does too, mate. I really hope he does too. But it's, what are they going to take into these? What's the mix going to be as they go into these World Cup games? And really interesting to see what the selection's going to be for Saturday down at Forsyth Bar in Dunedin, mate, and the afternoon kickoff as well. Yeah,
well, that's the best thing, afternoon kickoff. Got a rugby at lunchtime on the Gold Coast. How good's that? It's Test rugby from New Zealand.
I'll be asleep by the time the sun's going down, mate.
Yeah, we don't want to peak early, do we? Yeah, so all in all, we've got to be happy after 3 games. I mean, you can only beat who you're playing, and we've won all 3 games convincingly. So we've got Saturday's game in Dunedin, and then a game against the Springboks at Twickenham, and then it's France in Paris.
Is there something else I can help with?
Just lost your sound there, mate.
Me now?
Yep, got you now, yep. We're talking about...
I don't know what happened there, sorry.
Talking about Paris.
Do we play our top 15 in these next 2 games, or is that the last we're going to see of our top 15 or top 23 before we meet France at the World Cup? Because you don't want to be. We've got the championship tied up. We've got the Bledisloe tied up. We know there will be some changes at Saturday in Dunedin, but what are you going to do in South Africa as well? I mean, in England, that's a sort of a half a nothing game, more of a warm up game. I think both sides might. I don't think either side's going to risk their top players in that game at Twickenham because there's nothing resting on it.
No, I totally agree. And to play the Springboks one week and then have to back up against France the next, that's not going to happen for most of the players. And totally agree with that.
Yeah, you're not going to risk, Aaron Smith or an Artie Savia or a Sam Kane or Bodie Barrett or something in that game, are you? So, yeah.
No, that's right. Well, Brims, who are you picking for Saturday?
I'm picking another New Zealand victory. I note the Wallabies are still full of confidence and optimism, but I think down in Dunedin, I think you're going to see a couple of new faces on the All Black team, and they're going to be red hot and playing for positions in the World Cup squad in France. So I think we'll see an improved Wallaby performance, hopefully. But yeah, victory for New Zealand, mate.
Yep, same, convincingly. Brim's always great to talk to you, mate. We'll catch up this time next week and hopefully review another good performance from the men in black.
Let's hope Dunedin turns it on. It's a good stadium down there. The roof will be over. It'll be nice and dry. We won't have to worry about the conditions. So I think both teams will be looking forward to that as well. And afternoon rugby. Woohoo, bring it on.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Yes, mate. Thank you.